Go live. Yay! We went live. Yes.
We did it. We're halfway there.
We're halfway there. The show is practically already over. Happy
What?
Turkey Day, brother.
You.
Ew.
I mean, I said you. Like, you too. I guess we're starting
You.
off great with this whole conversating thing.
You
Thanks.
and words and stuff and
Alright,
things.
you.
Apparently not good at it. Apparently very, very bad at things. Which is a highly useful skill for recording a podcast. This podcast, as a matter of fact, Two Trolls and a Brew. Episode 56, Sweet Potato Snickerdoodles. Of me. Some sweet
Those are all
potato
words.
Those are all words. It sounds delicious to me. This week's subtitle is Turkey Day. Turkey Day is, I believe, both of our favorite holidays. I know it's mine. We discuss this every Turkey Day. I'm pretty sure it's also your favorite holiday. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, but only when food's involved.
Day. I love all aspects of Turkey Day. I love seeing people I don't get to see very often, sitting around the kitchen table, board games, playing Magic. Like, I love just spending time with people I don't get to see very often. I love eating just din-dins. I love everything about it. In fact, my turkey is to get the rapid defrost going on. It's been in the refrigerator since yesterday, and it usually takes me about 3 days to defrost a turkey. So I may actually have to put in the rapid defroster. But this is not a podcast about Thanksgiving, although it's going to be very heavily Thanksgiving. This is a Magic the Gathering podcast, theoretically. So we start the show off right every week with our troll cards. Travis, I noticed that you have not yet typed in the show notes your troll card
Yeah,
selected yet?
I'm still looking for it. I know what it does. I just can't find it.
All right, well, let's...
Uh, okay, so here's what it do. It costs. It costs. It costs 2 colorless and 2 white, and it's a 2/1 with Fabricate 2.
Is it the 2/1, the ground based guy?
Yes.
It is like something armorer, maybe. That feels right to me. Ben really likes it. He
Well,
got
I
some.
like it because it did work in draft yesterday.
Well, that's why I'm saying he likes it so much, is because it did a ton of work for him. He and I, Visionary Augmenter.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He and I went ahead and drew after I whooped his butt 2-1 in draft this week. I finally broke my horrible losing streak in draft this week in Kaladesh.
Oh yeah, what did you draft?
I drafted very memorable deck. Black, white, fabricate, basically.
Okay.
With charge. I can't think of the current charge card. I had like one charge card, the angels that flickered guys. It was basically a fabricate flicker deck. I got like one of the O1s that makes 2, that fabricates 2 and enters the battlefield. I got one of the 2/2s that bounces the guy back to your hand. The aerial response, I think, or maneuver maybe, that flicks a guy card.
Yeah.
And at one game, I blocks, I flicked the angel, and then I flicked a fabricate guy, like a fabricate 2 guy, to basically save all my dudes, and then the next were like an insane amount of damage because I had the charge.
All right.
So I was pretty pleased. just gonna make the really bomber. Like my first pick was the black white tap or fast lane. Then I think my next strongest, like just strongest on rarity, I got the 3/3 guy who enters the battlefield with 3 energy. You can like pay an energy to do things like giving flying or lifelink and stuff like that. So, I mean, my deck was not made up at all of rares. It was just commons and uncommons that out. So, I think that's a totally forcible deck and archetype, the black white fabricate deck.
Well, that creature was only one of 2 white cards that I had in the deck. And he overwhelmingly exceeded my expectations of what he was supposed to do.
Well, I mean, it is a 2/1 dwarf for 4 that
right
with him. That's a lot.
Right. But, and I don't know why these people keep doing this, but they keep taking uncommons and slightly good rares instead of taking Fireweavers and Puzzle Knots.
I mean, a lot of people draft value first. Their first value drafters. We have a couple people like that in our circles, and they feel like it's better to always get their value out of the draft than to try to potentially win, 3 or 4 or 5 or however many packs and take that gamble. Me, I would almost always rather win the packs and take any card that's like $12 or more, $10 or more. Yeah, there's a lot of people, they'll just rare draft first, and then they'll try to put together a deck second.
Well, okay, so for me, I started off, like, my pack 1 pick 1 was Chandra.
Okay, sounds great. Sounds like an
all right,
start.
X and Chandra. That was my thought process. And then I got past the electrostatic pummeler. The very next pack was someone gave me that. I'm like, all right, energy artifacts. Next pack there wasn't a good uncommon. There wasn't a rare. So I saw the Fireweaver. I was like, all right, let's see if I just force this again. And then the third one was my troll card. And then I was like, all right, maybe I'll just go red-white artifacts. Just kill them with Chandra. White died out really fast. So I was just stuck on the Puzzle Knot Fireweaver combo again. And
right.
I ended up with 3 of the blue Puzzle Knots, 3 of the white Puzzle Knots, and 2 of the black Puzzle Knots, and 1 of the red Puzzle Knots.
That doesn't sound bad.
Yeah, and then the rest of it was just, I think the only big thing that I had was the 4/5 giant with Menace. That was my top end.
But I don't know if you really need something like that. I think, though, I would have tried to get one of the charges in the deck that you just described to me.
No, the giant, he's ridiculous in the deck.
Yeah, like the giant's just a good card. Being a big fatty is good.
Yeah.
So in this particular format,
the other thing that I had was the Whirler Maker.
I also got a Whirler Maker. I was able to make 1 Ornithopter before they blew it up. There were
Well,
several games that they blew it up before I was able to make any ornithopters.
so
Perturbed.
by the time that I got the Whirler Makers out, my board state was already cluttered with small things that would do incremental damage. So they had to choose between killing a Fireweaver or killing the Whirl Maker. And one of the dudes, he killed the Fireweaver, which admittedly was a better choice because that at least stopped them from taking damage when I made a Thopter.
Sure.
Uh, but then, I had three in the deck again, so it was like 2 turns later or something that I just dropped another one, made more Thopters, and eventually I just swung wide with the deck, and that really really helped with the that 4-drop dwarf, especially when I had Aether Trade Winds.
Which one? Sorry. Uh,
The Trade Winds, bounce a permanent you control, and then bounce one that they control.
I was trying to decide if it was the blue one or the white one.
Yeah, it was the blue one.
And maybe then my brain just like went on vacation.
Yeah, but it was great because what I did with it was I blocked their big. the one time that I used it effectively, the dude tapped out after he played his Torrent or his Virtuous Gearhulk, and he swung with a big thing, and then he was low on life, but then I bounced my 4-drop and his big thing that was attacking, and left him with the Virtuous Gearhulk. And then next turn I played the 4-drop and did, what was it, 4 points of damage to him just by playing it. And then I swung with my team and killed him.
That sounds like a nice victory.
Right.
I mean, get rid of your bomb and then just go to town.
Well, and it wasn't the bomb that I got rid of. I left the Gearhulk. I just got rid of the thing that was attacking with all the counters on it.
Sure. So real fast, I just want to talk a little bit about, so Remington was a couple of seats down, right? So like, I think if you consider me at seat 1, Remington was probably like at seat 4, about as far away from me as you can get equal distantly, right? Remington drafted the red-white dwarf vehicle deck, similar to what you were doing, except he had the legendary dwarf that made all dwarfs bigger and vehicles bigger.
Yep.
Good vehicles. He had the 3/1 Scry dwarf.
Mm-hmm.
He had the fabricator, legendary augmenter that you had, and he had like 3 other just completely nutter cards. Like his deck was just completely insane. I not had the ability to like sideboard in like 6 more removal spells that cost like 2 mana or less. I typically don't sideboard, or I typically don't main deck those cheap removal spells unless they are just incredible against the field, right? I usually sideboard those in when I know they're good against certain decks, because they're usually pretty their uses. But it seemed like every single deck I played against was like that, where I just wanted every removal spell I could get my hands on. And even doing crazy things like keeping 1 land hand that were like the black puzzle knot, removal spell, that are all like 2 mana removal spells. And just hope to get there within the first couple of turns. And I actually won a game just like that. I missed my first land drop. I got lucky the next turn, hit it, and then puzzle knotted. Or actually played a removal spell, missed my land up missed my draw the next turn, played a puzzle knot though, and drew the land to make my land drop that turn. So like I got pretty lucky, but I was on the draw, and I literally sat my hand down and went, okay, so let's think about this for a second, opponent. I have 33 cards left in this deck, 16 of which are lands. little less than 50-50 in my right, like just barely. Like, let's keep. And he's like, "Are you seriously keeping a one land hand?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." Proceeded to and proceeded to get there, and it was great. I don't know. There's some insane out of this draft format, and I felt like I would, even though all my decks had been good for forever. It seems like I finally hit the magic I think I needed to actually go forward. I want to talk this week about Brood Butcher. I also kind of want to talk a little bit about Drowner of Hope and a little bit about Birthing Hulk. All these guys together have ability. When they enter the battlefield, they create 2 Scion tokens. The reason why I think they're very good is because they all have their own unique special abilities. Obviously, the Birthing Hulk is the least good because it is an uncommon and costs 7 mana. All right, a huge 5/4 can be very good in this format. Brood Butcher, letting you sacrifice a creature, green mana, and then potentially killing a creature is very, very strong. The Drowner of Hope, sacrificing a Scion to tap a creature is very, very good. I bring them up is because of another deck that I kind of discovered. A friend of mine, Sean Z. Dyke, was watching somebody play, I don't know where, and the match he was playing, the opponent was playing this 3-color Panharmonicon deck, and it ran things like the Eldrazi Displacer, Hulk, and Drowner of Hope. And he has kind of a variation of this deck. And I had never heard of it before. Kind of got excited, did some digging around. And Magic, MTG Goldfish, one of our favorite sites, has actually published a deck list. Excited to give this one a shot, and I kind of want to run down it just a little bit here. That is the first link for you guys. It'll be the first link in the show notes. So, Glint Nest Crane, Displacers, Familiar, Reflector Age, Spell Queller, Athalia. I'm not in love with Athalia. Just to try to slow your opponent down a little bit, but I'm not in love. Restoration Gearsmith, Thought Not Seers, a Singleton Cloudbrazer, Gear Hulk, a Linvala Hulks, and a Hydra. This deck really. Go
I
ahead.
want to stop you right here. I literally told you about a Bant Harmonicon deck like 2-3 weeks ago.
You did. You told me about a Bant Harmonicon.
So saying that you haven't heard of
it. I'm specifically the variation with the black in this deck.
The black is overrated. It doesn't need black or red.
I think the fact that I don't think it needs the red cards, but I think the fact that it has the Restoration Gearsmith and the Eldritch Evolution variation you had the Eldritch Evolution in either, right?
No, it had him. It had 3 of them. So
that I don't remember that.
So mine had the 4 Glintless, 4 Displacers, 4 Familiars, 4 Mages, no Spell Queller, no Thalia, no Gearsmith, 4 Thought Not Seer, the Eldritch Evolution, 4 Prisms, 4 Harmonicons, and Refurbish.
I think if we were to I remember yours being a refurbished deck also, but if we were to take Shell, but I think that by adding the black, I really am impressed with the black in this. What would take this deck over the top for me would be adding the Under Hope. Maybe 2 of either one of those instead of I'm not in love with Athalia, like I already said before. put Lavala the Preserver in the sideboard to be able to have the infinite creature. I think would be worth it.
Again,
But like I
the
said,
4-drop.
a 4-drop.
Yeah, the 4-drop one. It costs 3 colorless and a green, and when it enters, it makes 2 dudes.
And that one too. I said I like the flexibility with the either the guys in tap their whole team, or I like the butcher so you could machine gun down certain guys as needed. It was also very good. So I don't know. I'm just saying, hey, I kind of like how this works. I don't remember one with the Eldritch Evolution and a tutor box toolbox thing. And I really like how this one is set up with the singleton Cloud Baser, the Green Gear Hulk, and potentially the Thalia, but I really like the Restoration Gearsmith in this deck. The ability to flicker a creature that regrows another creature makes the possibility of this deck improve in my mind. So I'm going to play with this one a little bit. I'm going to fiddle with it and see what I think. I don't love the Combustible Gear Hulk in the sideboard. I don't like how they're running so many counter spells in the sideboard. But I really like the main deck of this deck. That the one you put out a couple weeks ago wasn't also very lovely. God, the look on face. Just want to complete this like a lack of care. Oh, he's starting to smile now, though. All right. So I wanted to talk about that for a second. I think that it would look really good with the Blood Brood Butcher in here to give you the ability to occasionally steal some stuff, and the ability to use the Prism to fix that color might be what the deck needs to kind of make this happen. Would you rather play this one or your version?
My version, because it infinite mills.
Infinite mills.
Efficiently.
Okay. I know. I also like the sheer power of running the Gear Hulks Hydra. I really am impressed with the Hydra lately. Let's look at this other deck that I think would be right up here. Told me about 2 weeks ago. This one I also don't feel like I have seen. They're calling it Sotai Madness Frog. Where did I had it open, I thought. So just copy it again and copy.
No, it's there.
No, I meant on my
on your page.
On my tab. So this thing is a little bit weird. It also runs kind of like a singleton, but it doesn't run any ways to tutor it out with like an Eldrazic Evolution or anything like that. This is over at Channel Fireball's website. Or that or anything. I'm a liar. There are 2 Eldritch Evolutions and I just missed it. How do you say that? The Orphrey? Ghir.
Garapor.
Orrery?
Yeah.
So basically what this card lets you do is... Yeah, it's real bad. You get to play an extra land, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have no cards, you draw 3 cards instead of 1. And then I think you still get your card for the turn as well. So you could draw 4 cards, is that right?
Yes.
Upkeep. So you basically draw 4, but it's double-sided. So what it lets you do is it runs things like get Rog Monster, the Dragoon to discard cards, Restrictors, again, discard cards. Discard it, it comes back. The Pariah, which is amazing right now. Hunted Dead, same thing. Discard, regrow it. Amalgam, same thing. A Singleton Stomper. I guess this is your way to get life back.
Yeah,
The
plus it's a
weapon-craft
fatty.
enthusiasts. Yeah. Weapon-craft enthusiasts, you can go wide. Keys of the city, make a fatty unblockable and go to town. And then, of course, like I said, the orrery. So the eye is basically pitch your hand every turn, draw 4, take more advantage of this card than your opponent possibly can, and go to town. I kind of like how this deck looks. I don't know how it will play. Apparently, it won something. Did it 5-0 something? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm getting so many different things. So for those of you who don't know, basically how this show works is Travis and I plan on recording. I read like articles to try to get some idea what the hell's going on in the metagame, and Travis shows up and looks pretty.
And I do a bad job
And
at that.
and I do a bad job of keeping straight what deck's done what. So, I mean, together we are terrible.
Together, we are half of a
Um,
cohesive unit.
that's correct. That's very correct. But I like the way this deck looks. I just, well, it really kind of like comes together. The Haunted Dead Prize Amalgam, and the ability to use the noose constrictors. Noose constrictors were huge for me. In the infinite bounce your guy. What was it makes the Kraken if you surge it. Do you remember what that is?
Crush of Tentacles.
It ran noose constrictors, and they did so much work for me. I invested in seeing another deck that kind of puts them to work. Between these two decks, which one should I tell Remington to build? Because I don't think we can have him build both.
Have him build my version of the first deck.
Okay, so I'm just going to make him build the first one up here, and then you can show me how wrong you are. When you go to GP Denver and win with your... You're not playing that deck at all. You're playing Big Red still, right?
No.
What happened?
I found something that's more fun.
Jesus. All right, well, what are you playing now? Give us the GP update, Travis.
Fevered Visions.
The red, blue, burning Fevered Visions deck?
Yeah. Except I'm still going to have the combustible Gear Hulks. And I'm thinking the Sky Kitty also. What's its name? Skyship something? You know, the 4-drop dragon that has like 3 different modes.
I got you. The Sky Ship Ambusher, maybe?
Sure, we'll go with that. I call it the Sky Kitty.
The Sky Kitty.
Because if you think about it,
Um,
dragons are
so
just cats of the sky.
how does this thing win?
What do you mean?
I forgot who I was talking to. Do you
How
have a
does the
deck
fever-
list
Yeah.
thing? Can I see this?
Oh, I mean, I have the deck list in my head.
Okay.
So
Is it running the Thermal Alchemists?
Yes.
Is it running Storm Chaser Mages?
No.
Running Bombardments? Galvanic Bombardments?
I haven't decided on that.
Fiery Tempers?
Yes.
Incendiary Flows?
Yes.
Jesus. I don't know. I give up sometimes. Sometimes I think you make my heart break.
Oh no. Also, I'm running Chandra. I'm running Combustible Gear Hulk.
Say okay
Running.
to that.
Huh? What'd you say?
Said I'm never gonna say okay to that.
Oh well. I'm running 2 of the Sky Kitties, and then a bunch of other removal spells. So basically, I need to
Well,
get there off of the back of Chandra, the Sky Kitty, or Fevered Visions.
how's its testing? Is it testing well?
Yeah, it's doing fairly well.
And of course, you're running counter to Etherworks Marvels, I assume.
Oh yeah, I have 3 ceremonious rejections in the side.
Okay. Well, I hope you do well. I think you got
Same.
some potentially good stuff. I figured out last time about how I didn't understand how geography worked. That you were going to Denver and
Hmm.
you could not possibly go through Colorado to get to me. Well, it turns out you're wrong. You can take a highway down, basically, and hit a medium-sized town right in the corner of Denver, and then, or not Denver, but Colorado, and then take that highway down to I-70, and then poof, at the same time. I bet you're going to take this highway into Denver even. So there we go.
Yeah, but it's
Next time you
still
come visit.
entirely out of the way.
I didn't say it wasn't. I'm just
I mean,
saying for
if you
pack
want
mule
to, if you
duty.
want to, if you want to pay the dude who's driving, if you want to pay him gas money to get all the way to Salina and then
Oh,
up
no, no,
back up to
no.
South Dakota, then you know
Not
what? I'll
this
talk
time.
to him about joining. But
Not this
until
time.
then,
On your next trip to this area,
on my
my
next
friend.
trip, I'm not gonna fucking drive to Denver.
No, no, it's fine. Never mind. Back on track. This is a
I'm
Magic
not
the
even.
Gathering podcast, not a drug mule podcast.
If anything, I'd like avoid Nebraska before I even go to Colorado.
Okay.
I drive all the way to Minnesota and then down through Iowa and then Missouri
Oh my goodness, this sounds
because
like way too
that's
much.
that's how awful driving through Nebraska is.
We
It's
have
like it's like
let's
driving
see.
through Kansas except slower.
Oh my goodness. Say it ain't so. When I went up in that general direction, I took 70 to Colorado and then Colorado up and then back into Nebraska to get up that way because I wanted to avoid it. Anyhow, let's get to our 2 main discussion topics, and you can pick. The articles I was reading, there was a line that kind of stood out. This gentleman said, "Standard has become about cards, not decks." So we can either ramble about that, or we can talk about what seems really cool to me, a format they're calling Frontier, which is basically a new modern Magic from Magic M15 and newer, and makes a new format. This is
Yeah.
that it gets rid of this stuff that's cluttering up modern, and basically it's like a extended standard, which I really just miss
Yeah, so
extended.
I'm gonna I'm gonna talk about both of these because I
Okay.
really only have about 3 sentences for both of them. Um, this Frontier set, like you said, it's extended standard. Also, before modern, was just known as extended. Um, that's the end of that. And as far as standard becoming about cards, not decks, it's been that way ever since Jace the Mind Sculptor. And it really hasn't changed. This this standard rotation with Kaladesh is probably the best because it actually allows for different combos. That's
Yeah.
my thoughts on both of those.
So let's take the first one last here, and let's talk about the just a second. So for those of you who are probably newer at playing Magic than other people, there used to be in the way back 3 formats of Magic. You had Standard, which is just like Standard is now. Then you had
It
what
was
they
called Type
called
2 at the time.
it was called Type 2. Then you had Extended, which similar. It was like the last 6 blocks,
No, it
and it
was
rotated.
the last 4 blocks.
Was it 4 blocks? I thought it was
Yes.
1. than that. It's color blocked, whatever it was. What is it about standard to where you had a lot more cards and you put these things together, and then you had vintage. Those are basically the three pillars of constructed decks prior to the invention of modern. Modern, the idea was to create a vintage type scenario where you had this non-rotating format that basically went, all right, so if you buy a card from here, you're going to be able to play it in this eternal format called modern. Well, what's essentially going on is modern, for specifically the last 2 years in particular, really taken off. It has to do with the dip of standard. I think standard has always been the format of the casual and new player. And I don't think there's been as much growth in the new player category as what used to be to keep standard afloat. And then as they've introduced this new set cycle of coming out with the two sets, basically a new standard, what seems to be like every 2 months, it's kind of burnt a lot of people out. And we're seeing some pushback on that, both in card sales, card quality, stuff like that. Showdown thing that they're starting to do, Wizards is starting to do, I think is a way to try to revitalize it by putting out these special packs that you can only really get by winning these showdowns or buying boxes. I think the problem is that for me is I would like to have a slightly larger format, right? Like I like the idea of modern, but it's too big. It's too much for me. And modern has boiled down to a handful of decks in my mind. It's not really a brewer's area to play anymore because there's so many cards. Where something like this Frontier goes back to rotating. I think it needs to rotate. Having a new Eternal format is not what I want. If I want to do that, I'll just play Modern. But something that rotates, I think, would be very, very good. And I like where this cutoff is. Magic 15 and newer, I think, is quite good. You're talking about, what? A core set, 1 block, 2, another core set, 2 blocks, 3 blocks. You're talking about 3 blocks. Let's say if we were to go to 4 blocks was once you rotate out of... that seems fine to me. Like being a constantly rotating set again has a slightly longer lifespan. Intrigued by the idea, and I'm going to throw it around the Solana group here and see if anyone else is intrigued by the idea. Standard has become about cards about decks. I feel like that is more true. I don't know if it was like that as much with Jace the Mind Sculptor. I didn't play then. But I did come back, and I don't feel Theros was about in one particular card. I felt like that was decks. You had 2 main decks, and then you had decks that attacked those decks.
You had 3 main decks in Theros, and that was Mono Black with Gray Merchant and Pack Rats. And then you had Mono Blue, which was the Merfolk dude that made elementals.
It was mostly a Thalia deck, God of the Sea.
Right, it was a Blue Devotion deck.
Right, Blue Devotion deck.
And both of those 2 decks had a playset of the same card, which was that hybrid blue-black dude that cost 3 hybrid. So you had those 2 decks with that same card. And both of those decks either revolved around that guy. So the mono blue deck revolved around that guy, Thalia, and the elemental dude. All right. The black deck revolved around that hybrid guy, Pack Rats, and Gary. Every single one of those decks had those three playsets in common. Then you had the white deck. It was like a white blue deck. Every single one had Elspeth. And if they didn't have Elspeth, it wasn't the right deck. Like, Theros was about the cards rather than the decks. Because you could put those certain cards in any deck and still win. And it's been that way ever since Jace, because they make a powerhouse, and then people just put that powerhouse in a deck and then just build control around it.
But see, at the same time, like when I'm thinking back to that time, you had the big two, and then you had right underneath there, you had like the tail end of the Sphinx's Revolution deck, right, and the Infinite Life Gain stuff. You had, like you said, the mono white enchantment deck. Like the Devotion stuff was very, very strong. Devotion actually spawned off a mono white deck as well as a mono red deck. Both did quite well. But Elspeth kind of took over and dominated the format. You also had 5-colored green deck that kind of came out of nowhere and did a lot of. So there was a lot of decks, though. Some decks did build around a couple of cards. The hybrid Devotion stuff, the 3-mana 2/3 flyer that also had upside was definitely key. Creature did really well. You also had the 4-mana I can't think of what it's called right off the top of my head. Anyone could sacrifice a creature, some sort of demon, but you had these cards. It wasn't about one particular card. It was about the synergy of the deck and how the synergies work together. Recently, stuff like Smuggler's Copter. That's the Smuggler's Copter deck. You know what I mean? As opposed to before, you talk about those decks in terms of mono black Devotion kind of things. The blue white flash is like a good counter, I think, right now, because again, it's about the deck, not a one particular card, even though it does typically run like a Smuggler's Copter in the blue white flash deck. I don't know. And disagree at the same time with this statement that Standard's about cards. But I do know several people who feel Standard is like that. Like, oh, just figure out whatever the bomb rare is going to be, get your play set of it, and then just fill out what you need to around there. But at the same time, you have crazy-ass decks right now floating around Standard, like the Electrostatic Pummeler deck that's almost no rares.
And hasn't seen much play since week 2.
In my local shop, it's still seen play. I don't know about in tournaments. It was really a Magic Online deck when it came to tournaments. Now people have kind of filtered away into the rares. Things that cheat. Not legendary. What the hell are they called? Mythics. Things that cast Mythics on turn 4 seem to be really strong.
Yeah, the Aetherworks.
The Aetherworks deck. Things that, use Chandra to cheat out 6-mana spells on turn 4, turn 5 seem really strong. So, I mean, I understand why this deck is not a top-tier deck anymore, but it still comes out of nowhere and smashes a lot of people right to death. Also out of Theros, just kind of while I'm thinking about it, you also had the blue-white heroic deck that did a lot of work. So, I don't know how much of this I feel is true. I feel like there's still a lot of power in decks as a whole. The synergy will always be where I kind of lean. I definitely have leaned that way. the synergy is better than the individual cards. And maybe we're wrong. Maybe that's why we're trolls and not players. I don't know. I know you're kind of pushing because of the clock here, so let's do our game. You can check out all past episodes of Two Trolls and a Brew at samusgarobo.com, or you can visit youtube.com/samusgarobo for the live video feed of the podcast. We've only been doing these for about 10, but they get a lot of views. And has it been longer than that? And people seem to like being able to see our faces when we make faces or we throw magic cards and stuff on the screen.
I don't understand.
You can send us an email.
Faces.
Pretty. You are so very pretty, my friend.
You're just saying that because it's hurtful.
Because it's Thanksgiving and I want you to love your family, which is me. I'm your brother now. So you could send us an email. We didn't get an email this week, which is kind of a bummer. The number two trollsbrew@gmail.com. Of course, there's links at samusgarobo.com. You can send us a Twitter message. I'm Samus Garobo. He's Turtle Power, the numbers 3. Of course, you can check out my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Samus Garobo. All right, so for this week's game, as it were, Travis, I need you to pull out your... Where did it go? No, I had it. Come here, history.
All I heard was you need me to pull out, and then you stop talking.
Here it is. I do. I need you to pull out. I need to pull out your foodie hat. And I need you to score me some Thanksgiving menus here. So I'm visiting countryliving.com Thanksgiving menus because it's that time of the year where I start thinking about what else I can make for Thanksgiving that's out of the normal. And I went, you know what? Travis would probably know. So this is what they called a laid-back feast. All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Turkey roulade in 3 ways. I'm not real sure what that is, but it is like turkey legs, turkey breasts, and turkey thighs cut up and cooked differently, I believe. Gooseberry monkey bread stuffing, Brussels sprouts gratin.
Oh, I love monkey bread.
Cooker mashed potatoes.
Gross.
Sweet potato cauliflower salad. Desserts being sweet potato snickerdoodles, pumpkin cheesecake with a cookie crust, slabbed pie. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being no thank you, 10 being oh my god, I want this for Thanksgiving, menu.
9.
Wow. It's all because of the stuffing.
No. It only gets a 9 because it has potatoes in it, and potatoes make me vomit.
That's right. I forgot you don't like potatoes.
So for future reference, the next one you list off, leave out potatoes, and it'll probably get a higher score.
They probably all have potatoes in them. I'm just saying, potatoes are a pretty big staple. All right, a retro menu. Herb and citrus butter roasted turkey. Apple walnut stuffing. Maple sanguine. Sweet potato casserole. Green bean casserole with fried shallots. Rosemary port cranberry sauce. You probably can't have any of that because that's got alcohol in it. With your desserts containing chocolate brown sugar butter cake, iced pumpkin frosting, and a salted caramel peanut butter fudge pie. In the menu over in your head?
No, I'm just looking at other menus. But minus the alcohol and the sweet potato part, that's a solid good dish.
It's a cranberry sauce. Cranberry sauce.
Well, then why can't I have it? Where's the alcohol at?
In a cranberry sauce, it has a bunch of port wine in it.
Oh, then take that out.
Okay. All right. We'll see what we can do.
Like just make the cranberry sauce like it was like uh
Like right out of the
pudding or
can.
something. Yeah, just right out of the can. Ah, well, this is all right.
Like, here's your fancy dinner. Okay. All right. Did you have a menu?
I'm really looking at
Or
this
do you want me
one.
to read another one?
I'm really looking at this one dish right now, and it's creamed spinach. I don't know how you are with spinach, but I love it.
I like spinach, but I don't necessarily like things creamed.
So, uh, 20 ounces of spinach, a fourth cup of butter, a small onion, two garlic cloves, 3 tablespoons of flour, 2.5 cups of milk, a teaspoon of salt, and an eighth of a teaspoon of pepper.
Okay.
That's it. It
Mix
looks
and
really
chill.
good. Huh?
Okay. Let's do one more. Find one that I think is probably. Do you like Southern food?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try this one. Calling the Southern flavor. Collard and Brussels sprout salad with sage butter roasted turkey. Your sides: cornbread dressing, citrus cranberry sauce, onion. Shit, I don't know how to say this. Gullet? Gaelic? Alettee. Skillet green beans, potato gratin, roasted sweet potatoes and carrots, buttermilk biscuits, and for dessert, pecan pie.
Oh, I love pecan pie.
I love pecan pie too.
Oh,
I don't
speaking
like
of
potatoes au gratin.
my sister is actually attempting to make like an actual pumpkin pie this Thanksgiving.
Well, do you cook anything special meal?
Me, I don't cook.
Okay.
I have a job
I
where I cook 40 hours a week, so I'm not cooking when I get home.
uh do you make do you guys have like a pumpkin pizza pie?
No,
That shit, that'd be delicious. Um
we do
so
have
every
brownie.
year I make the turkey. That it's like my tradition. Or the ham, depending on what, or both, depending on if we decide to have both. Um Makes everything else. And I didn't know if you like did something similarly where you like always make the pumpkin pie or you always make the cranberry sauce.
Nope.
I think it's important for everyone to make one thing for Thanksgiving.
I make
Is
sure that
spinach.
the cable bill is paid so we can all watch football. When I
Okay.
say we, I mean me,
You?
and don't talk to me.
Okay. Well, with that, everybody, thanks for with us. I know I am thankful for the time that you spend with us each week. Travis,
Yeah.
say something you're thankful for, you ungrateful bastard.
Oh, right. You know, I'm thankful that you have a hat.
Me too. My hair is a disaster. All right, everybody.
Troll on.
You can say troll on too. It's okay.
I did.
You're too busy giggling, I think.
Oh, troll on.